Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to Visordown. My name's Toad, and today I'm coming to you from Moto 73 up in Adlington, where we are at the UK launch of QJ Motor in the UK. QJ is a vast company. You've more than likely heard about it numerous times from news reports and new bike news, but they've only been selling in specific markets, namely Asia, China, India, sort of those sort of places. They're coming to the UK and they are not coming in softly. They're bringing a big bunch of bikes into the UK market. And they're also not the usual fare of cheap and cheerful commuters and scooters. They're bringing in some big stuff like this that is sat in front of me today, the SRT 900S, which is basically a fully kitted out 900cc adventure bike. And this is one of three bikes that I'm going to be riding over this launch. I'm also riding a cruiser and a naked as well. But for this video, I'm just going to be focusing on the SRT 900S. There is also a sibling of this bike, which has got spoked wheels, called the SRT 900SX. And I will also be getting some seat time with that as well. So what exactly is it? Well, it is very cost effective, whichever way you skin it. This thing comes in at £7,499. And as I go through the review, you'll realise that there is actually quite a lot of motorcycle here for your money. The spoked wheel SX version comes in at £7,699. There is an on-the-road charge, which I think is around about £200 to add on top of that. It is powered by a 904cc parallel twin-cylinder engine, so double overhead cam. It is an 8-valve engine. It pushes out around about 95 bhps, 95 horsepower, so around about 93 bhp, and you've got 90 Newton meters of torque from that parallel twin-cylinder engine. The S gives you a seat height of 815mm, which is very, very accommodating, and you get an 835mm seat height on the SX. It's got a slightly different shock and linkage, which just puts the rear end of the bike a little bit higher. We've got some good spec stuff on this thing as well. So the front suspension comes from Marzocchi and the rear shock is from Marzocchi as well. You've got adjustability at both ends, and the brakes are from Brembo, which includes a Brembo master cylinder as well, which is very nice to see at such a budget price point that they haven't lent on really budget stuff. They've gone for good quality kit on that front, and I like it. You've got a pretty expansive fuel tank on this. So you've got a 24-litre fuel tank, which again is about where it needs to be going into this sub-1000cc adventure bike sector, but it should be good for some decent mileage. These bikes have literally just come off the boat from China, so they've not been fully ran in. So me taking a miles per gallon test on this launch probably isn't totally indicative, but we'll update you on what the estimated figures are at the end of the launch. As I said earlier, these things come from the factory, from the dealer, fully loaded. So I'm going to go through everything that you get for your £7,499. So you are getting the parallel twin-cylinder engine, a 6-speed gearbox. So you're getting a full-screen colour TFT, which does have Bluetooth connectivity. You get a USB-A charger up in the cockpit as well, which is very handy. Where this bike gets interesting is because it has this blind spot detection system that has become a bit of a sort of something that a lot of brands want to get into. They want their big adventure bikes and they want their big touring bikes to have this blind spot protection. So you've got a little rear radar sensor just sitting on top of the number plate over there, and you have got audio beepers in the back of the headlight that beep at you when there's something in your blind spot, and you also get these warning lights as well. So when a vehicle's encroaching, they'll illuminate, and it'll also illuminate or flash your rear indicators to warn them. And then as they get closer and the system detects that you could be on a collision course with them, which you're probably not, it does actually start to flash in the rear view mirror. Don't worry, if you don't like that kind of tech, you can switch it all off. You can turn off the beepers and leave the lights on, or turn it off altogether. It's totally up to you. You also get full LED lighting all around, which is all very good. You're getting the hand guards, you're getting the crash bars, and to top it up, which will be very handy for UK riders riding through winter, you get heated grips and a heated seat as well. And you get the centre stand, all for standard. That's as it comes from the dealer. There's nothing added to it. You get the only thing that you can bolt onto it is the luggage and top box aluminium pannier set, which some of the bikes that we've been riding over the next 2 days have got on them, which I think comes in round about £600. These bikes, like I said, they're fresh off the boat, so Moto 73 are still thrashing through the prices on that one. There you go. That's everything that you need to know about it. All I need to find out about it now is how it rides. So we're going to head out into the mountains up here around Lancashire, go and have a couple of days of razzing about on some nice bikes, and I will come back to you a little bit later on with a full verdict on this one. So there we have it, folks. Our riding day up here in the north of England is done, and as predicted, the weather has turned. So it's gone typically northern and started raining. We've got a little bit of a break in the weather right now, so thought I'd get my PC camera out of the way. How have I found the SRT 900S, which is the main model that I've focused on, the one with the cast wheels? How have I found it up here in Lancashire? Well, I'm going to start by talking about the engine, because I've experienced a lot about the engine because I've been riding two different models of QJ today that have both shared this same motor. And in both of those bikes, it seems to be that there's very little in the way of mapping changes across the two. So this engine is extremely punchy. It's very gutsy low down, but then you've got really nice punch through the mid-range, which wasn't really something that I expected. I've ridden a few different Chinese models. The Morbidelli, which is a pseudo Chinese model with an Italian name, I was riding up here a few months ago, and that had a very soft and very easygoing delivery to it. And it was a 900cc V-twin with around about the sort of similar power output to this thing here, but the delivery of that was very soft. This is totally different. It's much more direct, it's very entertaining, it's very enthusiastic on the throttle, and it feels actually fairly quick for such a big capacity parallel twin cylinder engine. The throttle connection is also quite good. It is very direct, but I didn't find it too snappy on this one. You've got a ride-by-wire throttle on the right-hand handlebar over there. But the real thing that I found, and this is the weak point of the engine and gearbox combination, just like the SRK 900 Naked that I was riding as well, is that the gearbox is a bit of a weak point. It's not the most direct, it feels a bit slushy. When you're shifting hard up the box from first to second gear and using the quick shifter, it is all too easy for the gear lever to drop out of second gear and drop back down into neutral. So as you're coming out of a first gear corner, you'd hook second, you'd carry on with the power, and then if you let off the power at all, it'd disengage second gear, it'd fall back down into neutral. It feels to me like the gear lever, which is almost parallel to the road when you sit on the bike, is just too high. It needs bringing down a little bit. That we might be able to shift them around on the spline a little bit and take them back out and see how they feel. But for me, right out the box, it'd just be nice if that was working. On the plus side, the rest of the quick shifter up and down the box is really good. It blips the throttle nicely on the way back down the box, and going up the box, it shifts nice and cleanly. So on that respect, it's all good. Just steer clear of using it between first and second gear unless you have adjusted that gear lever position. Going to talk about the electronics and the equipment really, because this is where a lot of Chinese brands can really take the fight to the established names in the market like Yamaha, Honda, Triumph, Ducati. All of those names, what they do is they equip their bikes with everything and the kitchen sink. And I went through the list at the start of the video and actually forgot about a couple of things. This bike's also got a tyre pressure monitoring system and a tyre temperature recording system that shows you on the dash how warm the tyres are. It's also got a dash cam as well built in, so a 1080p dash cam. So there is loads and loads of tech. How have I found it out on the road today? Well, the TFT is okay. It's very dim. I found it to be almost unreadable at a standstill. So when you fire the bike up, the TFT will sort of illuminate, but it looks like it's almost not illuminating fully. And then when you start the engine, when the bike's got a little bit more power going through its system, it will actually brighten the dash up a little bit. But for me, when we were riding, it still wasn't quite bright enough, even on its brightest settings. When you're riding in the dark or under trees or anything, it's perfectly fine, and actually the layout of it's quite nice. It's a little bit fussy, there's a lot of stuff going on and a lot of information up there, but you can just about find, after a couple of hours, you can sort of figure out where the bits of information that you need are. So on that front, it's all good. Also played around with the heated seat and the heated grips, because it has been pretty chilly up here. It's the beginning of October in the north of England, so it's never going to be warm. I've got to say the heated grips are really good. They heat up to a very high temperature, and the heated seat also is very good. If you're wearing thin sort of non-motorcycle jeans when you're riding, if you pop into the shops or something, you put the heated seat on, it will probably be too hot. The only gripe that I've got with the heated seat and the heated grips is that they do take quite a long time to actually get up to temperature to start to keep you warm. Other electronic systems on the bike, so you've got 3 riding modes. You've got a rain, a road and a sport mode. You can configure the traction control to on or off, and you can switch off the ABS to the rear wheel as well. I've been playing around just in the standard road mode today. I did go up into the sport mode, but the throttle connection is so aggressive it becomes annoying, and it doesn't feel like you're riding with much finesse in the sportiest riding mode. And to be honest with you, it doesn't even feel any quicker. It doesn't seem to get down the road any quicker. It just makes the whole riding experience feel a lot more frantic. And on a big adventure bike with fairly soft sprung suspension, that's not really where I wanted it to be. Kept it in road mode, absolutely fine. Did try out rain mode as well, and as you'd expect, it just softens off the power and the throttle map significantly just to make it a little bit more usable. One front on the traction control. If it's dry, just turn it off, because there's no point having it on. It is so overzealous, it will trigger super easily. And like some of the other Chinese bikes I've ridden, it takes a long time to then disengage to allow the power back through to the rear wheel. So it almost feels like it's gone into limp mode for a couple of seconds before the power comes back in. And then when the power comes back in again, it will come back in very abruptly. So on bumpy roads and stuff like that, where the back wheel's just skipping and hopping about, that is not something that is very good. So just, if it's dry, just turn the system off. If you've got confidence of riding in the road. So we've got fairly decent tyres on the thing. We've got Maxxis Max Venture hoops on it, which seem to be okay in the wet. I've got to say, I didn't have any heart-stopping moments on the thing. So if you can, try not to rely on the traction control too much, because it is very over-eager. I'm going to move on to the comfort now, because adventure tourer bikes, they're designed to be comfortable. You want to go long distances on it. You've got a 24-litre fuel tank that you need to empty, so you're going to be sitting on the thing for a very long time. This is a bike that you sit in. You feel like it sort of envelops you as you get on the thing. The fuel tank sort of comes up to below your chin. You've got these really wide bars which give you a really commanding view of the road beneath you. The pegs are a little bit high maybe. Taller riders might find them a little bit cramped, but they will at least keep your feet away from any rocks or any other debris if you do take the thing off-road. Overall though, it's pretty good. The seat comfort's very good. The bars are nicely positioned, so I'm an easy reach to them, and I'm only 5'7". I didn't feel too cramped on the lower half of my body. I'm only saying that it might be worse for taller riders, because even for me, they do feel a little bit high, and there isn't too much in the way of vibration to speak of. Considering it's a 900cc parallel twin cylinder engine in the thing, there's not a huge amount of vibes to come through. A little bit of buzz at sort of 3.5 to 4,000 RPM, but you blow through that at motorway speeds, so it's not really too much of a worry for me. The one problem that I've got with it is it hasn't got an adjustable screen, and the screen isn't actually that tall for an adventure bike. It's weird, because there are some of the other bikes that QJ have brought out for this launch today and yesterday. They've got much more screens, and there's even some smaller capacity adventure bikes, like it's a 650, that has got a fully adjustable screen. You can drop it up and you can drop it down. For some reason, the top spec adventure bike in the QJ range hasn't got an adjustable screen, and the screen is a little bit low. So it's not too buffety, there's not massive amounts of turbulence as you're riding along on the motorway, but I would like a taller screen option. Even if there's not an adjustable option, I think people are going to want a big tall screen just to cover them from any of the wind and the weather. The rest of the weather protection feels pretty good actually. So the handguards are very expansive, and they are super robust. These aren't plastic. These red sections on the handlebars, they're not plastic, they are sort of metal, and they do feel super robust and super tough, which is a real bonus. Moving on for the comfort, gonna talk about the handling. QJ has leaned heavily to the side of road-focused touring when it comes to the setup of these adventure bikes, both the S and the SX. They do, although the SX looks more adventure-y with its spoked wheels, they are both set up for road touring on that front. There's a plushness to the suspension, which is thanks to Marzocchi really. They've supplied all the suspension components, both front and rear, so it's got quite a nice sort of premium feel to the suspension, which you don't sometimes get from a Chinese motorcycle. And there's enough movement on the suspension that you feel engaged and you feel involved in the ride, but you don't feel disconnected from what's going on beneath you. It's not like you're floating along on a magic carpet. You can still feel the road beneath you, and you can feel what's going on. I've got to say, at 264 kilograms wet with the luggage, which is free of charge, I might add, it is a very heavy bike. This is a big old girl, and you do feel that weight, especially at a standstill and when riding around town. The steering is super heavy. When you first get on the thing and take it off the side stand and just move the bars from side to side, it feels like it needs power steering. And that doesn't really melt away until you get up above sort of 25 or 30 miles an hour. Once you do though, it's perfectly capable. We were riding yesterday when it was dry. We were riding across some sort of moors and dales and stuff like that, and there are super twisty technical roads with lots of bumps and lots of uneven surfaces, and it performed really well actually. We were pushing on as hard as I would like to on any bike of this size, and it wasn't doing anything weird. There's no nasty surprises. It just gets on with it. It gets down the road. The engine's punchy enough that you can explore everything that the suspension can do for you, and the braking system, which of course is from Brembo, so it's pretty good. And you can push on, and at those sort of speeds, it doesn't feel cumbersome. Feels a little bit like the weight is more to the top than anywhere else, but you're going to expect that on a bike of this size and this configuration. It's worth mentioning as well, actually, that both the S, which has got the 17-inch cast front wheel, and the SX, which has got the 19-inch front cast wheel, they both handle quite well on the road. Obviously, the S is the sportier of the two. It turns a little bit quicker, but overall, they're both quite fine handling little bikes for blasting along the B road on. I can't really say that I would want to take either of them off-road. The tyre selection for them wouldn't be optimum anyway. You'd have to swap that out. But just that 264 kilogram curb weight, for you to be able to take a bike like that off-road, it has got to be the prima della prima of adventure bikes to be able to go down a trail, go down a green lane and do it with aplomb and do it safely. These, for me, I still feel that both the S and the SX are firmly rooted in the on-road touring and adventure side of things. So, onto the verdict, really. Like a lot of new bikes, there are some quirks, there are some faults, there are some things that I would prefer not to happen when riding the SRT 900. The gearbox is the biggest one for me. Dropping out of second gear and into neutral is not good. It's not ideal, and it did seem to happen quite a lot. The the non-adjustable screen and the fact that it is quite low is also a bit of a bugbear for me, but hopefully QJ will pick up on that and they might bring out a slightly taller screen, or maybe on next year's model there'll be an adjustable option on that. Overall though, the riding experience, there isn't a lot to knock. I mean, yes, it is a bit cumbersome around town. The steering is heavy around town and you just have to take your time with it and just, you know, plan where you're going and sort of think a couple of minutes ahead of where you are at that time. But it's not too bad. The actual, when you get out on the open road and you start to push the thing on, it is capable enough, it is entertaining enough. And for all the faults that I can pick of it, you look at the thing and you go, yeah, but look at the price. And it's £7,500 for this model. It's a few £100 more for the SX, which is the one with the spoked wheels. And all of those faults and all of those quirks and all of those doubts that you have about the bike, they kind of melt away because you are getting some kit that you only get on £20,000 adventure touring bikes, like the blind spot detection system. You get the heated seat and the heated grips, which from a lot of manufacturers, they would be charging you an extra for, so that would be an accessory add-on. And you're getting 900cc parallel twin, a big chunky engine with a big bike energy. It does look and feel like a big bike when you're riding it out on the road. And you're getting that for £7,500. I mean, to benchmark that against some of the competition, I've got the prices written down here. Honda's Transalp at the minute is around about the £10,000 mark. The Triumph Tiger range runs from about, I think, £12,000 to just under £15,000. Okay, so they're kind of the bikes that this thing has got to go and do battle against, but neither of those bikes can touch this thing in terms of the level of spec and the level of tech that it comes with right from the factory. The heated grips, the heated seat, the blind spot detection, Bluetooth TFT, and the luggage for £7,500. Whether or not that bounty of technology and additional parts and add-ons is going to be enough to sway some people though, that is the really big question. I think UK buyers are very much still in the mindset that they want to put their money with a tried and a trusted brand, and that's absolutely fine, and no one's trying to tell you otherwise. We're just here on a launch reporting on a bike that has been brought to the UK by a distributor. I do think it is going to take a few years at least before UK buyers really come around to these sort of bikes and you start seeing other people on the road riding them and you can talk to other owners and get their actual opinions on what they're like to own, not what they're like to come up here and review in the north of England. Well, listen, that has been enough from me. I've been Toad for Visordown.com. If you like that one, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you can stay up to date with all of our latest videos. And for the latest news and reviews, head over to Visordown.com.